You aren't watching this video, you're haunting it. For the last 3 years, you have been a spectator in your own life, a ghost inhabiting a body that has forgotten how to move. Look at your hands, right now. They're the tools of a stranger, aren't they? You've spent 1,000 days sitting in the back row of your own skull, watching a movie of the person you were supposed to be. That hollow ache in your chest, it isn't sadness. It's the sound of 3 years of wasted potential rotting in a room you locked from the inside. And the most terrifying part? You're starting to like the dark. You're trapped. But it's not a prison of steel and stone. It's the 3 years wasted trap. It's that invisible, suffocating pressure that tells you because you've already lost 1,000 days to the wrong path, you might as well lose another 1,000 to justify the first. You think you're being loyal to your past efforts. You think you're seeing it through. But you're not being loyal. You're being held ransom by a version of yourself that died a long time ago. Imagine you're standing on a bridge. The fog is so thick you can't see your own feet. In your arms, you're clutching a heavy, rusted safe. It's filled with every mistake, every failed relationship, and every could have been from the last 3 years. Your back is screaming. Your knees are buckling, but you won't let go. Why? Because you've carried it this far. You tell yourself that if you drop it now, the sweat and the pain of the last 3 miles will have been for nothing. This is the seductive poison of the sunk cost fallacy. It convinces you that the price of freedom is wasting the suffering you've already endured. And here is where the deeper rot sets in: hard determinism. It's the most comfortable lie you've ever told yourself. You look at your situation and you say, well, this is just how the world is. I'm a product of my environment. I'm a victim of my childhood. I'm a slave to my dopamine receptors. It feels like a sanctuary, doesn't it? If everything is predetermined, if every choice was written in the stars at the moment of the Big Bang, then your stagnation isn't your fault. You're just a passenger on a train you didn't board, headed for a destination you didn't choose. Determinism is the ultimate exit ramp for the weary. It whispers, relax, you were never in control anyway. Stay in the fog. It's safer here. But there's a flicker of lightning in the dark, a concept so radical it feels like a physical blow: high agency. High agency is the functional refusal to accept that the story is over. It is the moment you stop looking at the door and start looking at the hinges. A person with low agency sees a no and accepts it as a law of physics. A person with high agency sees a no and hears a suggestion. They understand that the world is a series of interconnected systems, and if one gate is locked, there is always a window, a crawl space, or a way to build a ladder. Think about the way you move through a room. When you hit a wall, do you stand there until the wall moves? Of course not. You turn, you find the door. So why, when it comes to the architecture of your life, do you treat every obstacle like a mountain that cannot be climbed? You've been trained to be a good student of your own limitations. You've been taught that high agency is just another word for hustle, but it's much deeper than that. It is the cognitive bypass of perceived impossibility. It is the realization that your circumstances are just the raw materials for your next move. You are currently addicted to the identity of the one who suffers. It's a sturdy house, isn't it? It gives you a shape. People understand you. They pity you. They offer you the small, cold comforts of shared misery. But what happens if you drop the safe? Who are you if you're not the person who wasted 3 years? That is the real terror. To exercise high agency, you must be willing to be nobody for a while. You must be willing to stand on that bridge without the weight, feeling the terrifying, weightless lack of gravity. You have to accept that the you of this exact second is not a sequel to the you of yesterday. The universe might be a chain of cause and effect. Your biology might be a script, but consciousness is the glitch in the machine. It is the one variable that can decide against all evidence to point the ship in a different direction. High agency isn't a personality trait you're born with. It's a muscle you've let atrophy because it was easier to let the world carry you. But the world is carrying you to a cliff, and the only person who can grab the wheel is the one currently staring at this screen with a sinking feeling in their gut. Ask yourself how much of your current identity is just a collection of survival mechanisms you no longer need. You stay in that job because the 22-year-old version of you was afraid of being broke. You stay in that relationship because the 25-year-old version of you was afraid of being alone. You are living in a museum of your past fears. High agency is the grace of being wrong. It is the courage to look at 3 years of waste and say, that was the tuition fee for the wisdom I have now. The trap isn't the 3 years you lost. The trap is the 4th year you're about to lose by trying to prove the first 3 weren't a mistake. Let's look at the 3 years wasted again. Imagine them as blocks of stone. You can use them to build a wall that keeps the world out, or you can use them to build a foundation that lifts you above the fog. The stones don't care. They are heavy either way. The difference is the agency of the architect. High agency people don't have fewer problems. They just have a different relationship with them. They see a problem not as a stop sign, but as a puzzle that hasn't been solved yet. They don't ask, can I do this? They ask, how do I make the no irrelevant? The fog on the bridge is starting to thin. You can see the railing now. You can feel the weight of the safe in your arms, the rust biting into your skin. This is the pivot point. This is the 20-second window where your life either continues its current trajectory or breaks into something new. You've been waiting for a permission slip. You've been waiting for a mentor, a sign, or a catastrophe to force your hand. But the permission slip was already signed the moment you were born. You are the only person in the universe who has the authority to let go. Dropping the weight is not a violent act. It is a quiet one. It's the sound of a long overdue exhale. It's the moment you realize that the safe was never actually locked. You were just so committed to the struggle of carrying it that you never thought to see what was inside. And what's inside? Nothing. Just air and the ghost of who you thought you had to be. When you open your hands, the world doesn't end. The bridge doesn't collapse. Instead, your shoulders drop. Your breath becomes deep. Your eyes focus on the horizon instead of your own feet. This is the shift from life is happening to me to I am happening to life. It is the functional refusal to be a bystander in your own story. Hard determinism might argue you were always destined to hear these words and make this choice. Fine, let the philosophers argue over the mechanics. In the subjective experience of your soul, you are the one choosing to loosen your grip. You are deciding that 3 years of waste is enough. You are reclaiming the sovereignty of the present moment. You aren't a passenger. You aren't a victim of your timeline. You are the architect of the next 10 seconds and the 10 seconds after that. The 3 years wasted trap only works if you believe time is a linear path you can't jump off. But time isn't a path, it's an ocean, and you can turn the boat the moment you find the strength to grab the rudder. The fog is still cold, the bridge is still rusted, but your gait is different now. You are upright, you are moving with a terrifying, beautiful fluidity. You look at your hands one last time. They are red, shaking, and marked by the texture of the safe you've been carrying, but they are empty. And because they are empty, they are finally ready to build. You are no longer defined by the weight you carried, but by the direction you choose to walk without it. The past is a library you can visit, not a courtroom where you were being judged. Close the book, step out of the stacks, walk into the light of a day that doesn't owe anything to your yesterday. You are standing at the edge of the rest of your life. The safe is gone, lost to the abyss below. The silence is absolute. You are light enough to fly, but for now you choose to walk, not as the person you were, but as the person you have finally decided to become. The 3 years weren't a waste. They were the weight that taught you how to be strong enough to let go. Now, go and show the world what happens when a ghost decides to finally start living. The script is finished. The camera pans out as you walk away, your silhouette sharp against the rising sun. You aren't looking back. Why would you? There's nothing left to see. You are the architect now. The first word on the blank page is begin. Everything that came before was just the prologue. This is where the story actually starts. Don't waste